Old man pretends to be sick to test his family's love, shocking results. Old man Williams was a very rich man. He had houses, cars, lands, hotels, and a big company. But now, he was getting old and weak. One day, as he sat quietly in his room, he looked at a family picture and asked himself, who really loves me in this house? Who will stay by my side when I'm sick and helpless? What would you do if you had to test your family's loyalty? So, Williams called his trusted lawyer, Mr. John, and his personal doctor, Dr. Maxwell, to his mansion. He sat them down in his study and said in a soft voice, I want to pretend that I'm very sick. I want to see who in my family truly loves me, who will care for me if I'm dying. The lawyer looked surprised but nodded. That's a wise idea, sir. But please hide part of your money. I'll open another account for you and move half of your wealth. That way, if anyone is pretending, they won't find everything. Williams smiled and agreed. The doctor also nodded. I will tell your family that you have cancer and only 6 months to live. And that was how the plan started. Can you guess who will pass this ultimate test of love? The next morning, Williams began to cough loudly. He stayed in bed and stopped going outside. He refused to eat well and looked very weak. His wife, Agatha, and the children, Frank, the first son, David, the second son, Cynthia, the first daughter, and Rose, the second daughter, all became worried. Let's call the doctor. Cynthia shouted. Soon, Dr. Maxwell came and examined him in front of the whole family. Then he looked at them with a sad face and said, I'm sorry. Your father is very sick. He has cancer. He may not live longer than 6 months. Everyone gasped. What? Rose cried out loudly. No, Daddy, please don't leave me. Even Frank and David looked shocked. Agatha put her hand on her chest and sat down slowly. In the first few days, the whole family acted like they cared. They brought him food, checked on him, sat beside him, and said sweet words. But after a week, things began to change. Agatha stopped coming to his room. I can't watch him suffer, she said. It breaks my heart. Cynthia said she was too busy to stay long. David said he had to travel for work. Frank, the eldest son, started showing more interest in the company. One day, Frank walked into the study with some papers and told his father, I think you should rest. Let me handle the company now. Williams looked at him quietly and nodded. Deep inside, he was watching and taking notes. Frank became the new face of the company. He changed the office, threw big parties, and started spending money carelessly. He bought a new car and went on vacations. Cynthia also took money and bought expensive wigs and clothes. David started spending lavishly on a young lady he met online. Meanwhile, Williams remained on his sick bed, pretending to be weaker each day. The only person who stayed by him all day was his youngest daughter, Rose. Rose would feed him, clean his room, sing for him, and even sleep on the floor beside his bed. Daddy, I'll never leave you. I'll be by your side, she cried one day, holding his hand. One evening, Rose went to her mother, Agatha, and said, Mommy, let's fly Daddy abroad. Maybe there's hope. But Agatha shook her head. No, no, it's too expensive. What if he dies there? We'll waste money for nothing. Rose cried again that night beside her father's bed, holding his hand and wiping his forehead. On the other side of the house, Frank threw a big party and invited friends, telling them, soon, everything here will be mine. But unknown to him, their father was still watching, still listening, and still pretending. Every morning, Chief William's mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Upstairs in his big room, the old man lay helpless on his soft bed. His face looked tired. His chest rose and fell slowly. His cough was deep and dry, like something inside him was breaking. His lips trembled as he whispered, Rose, thank you, my daughter. Rose, his last child, sat beside him, holding his hand gently. She smiled through her tears. "I'm not going anywhere, Daddy." She wiped his sweaty face with a warm towel, helped him sip water, and carefully fed him pap with a small spoon. Sometimes, when he coughed too hard, she would gently rub his chest and cry quietly when he wasn't looking. But what no one knew was that Chief Williams was pretending. He wasn't really dying. He wanted to know who truly loved him and who was only waiting for him to die and take his wealth. One afternoon, when Rose stepped out to rinse the towel, Chief Williams turned to the wall and whispered to himself, "Is this how my life will end? This family I sacrificed everything for. They don't check on me. They don't care if I ate. Not even Agatha, my wife. I gave them my life, my sweat, my name. Now they are counting my days. They can't even ask, 'Daddy, how are you today?'" A tear dropped from his eye as he groaned softly. "Oh God, what did I do wrong?" While the old man lay coughing upstairs, music played loudly downstairs. Frank, his first son, had turned a guest room into a party zone. He drank wine, laughed with friends, and made loud phone calls like he already owned the whole house. He didn't check on his father, not even once. At the company, one morning, Frank walked into the office like a boss. He stood before the board members and said proudly, "Good morning. My father is very sick and won't return. From today, I'm in charge." Some workers clapped a little. Others looked uncomfortable. Mr. Deo, an elderly man who had worked for Chief Williams for 28 years, stood up with respect. "Chief is still alive. Shouldn't we wait for his words?" Frank slammed the table. "Are you telling me what to do in my father's company?" Miss Linda, another staff member, stood up slowly. "We only want the company to be safe. Maybe form a team to support you until Chief speaks." Frank turned to the HR manager. "Fire all of them. I don't want to see their faces tomorrow." Within minutes, security men entered and started escorting people out. Mr. Deo shook his head. "You're sacking me? I served your father like a brother." "I don't care," Frank shouted. "Get out." David, the second son, rushed into the office when he heard what happened. He stormed into the boardroom. "What is wrong with you?" he shouted. "Why are you acting like Dad is already dead?" Frank leaned back in the CEO chair. "Wake up, David. Dad has 6 months. I'm just preparing ahead." "You're ruining everything he built," David shouted. "You think you're smarter because you went abroad?" Frank snapped. David stepped closer. "Stop this madness, or I'll stop you." Frank pushed him. David punched him in return. Security rushed in and dragged them apart. Later that day, Rose heard about the fight. She was heartbroken. She called both of them into the living room. With tears in her eyes, she said, "Why are you two fighting? You know Daddy is not well. Why are you fighting over his money and company when what he needs now is our love? Did Daddy not give us a good life? Has he not sacrificed enough for us? Why betray him now?" Frank looked down. David was silent. "If anything happens to him, God will not forgive us," she said and walked away in tears. That evening, while Rose fed her father, there was a knock. It was Mr. John, the family lawyer. He walked in, sat down, and said quietly, "Your boys fought today. Frank sacked all your old staff. The company is not safe." Chief Williams gave a weak smile. "Let them show their true colors," he said. "I'm still watching." Just then, loud voices came from downstairs again. It was Agatha and Cynthia. "I want to sell that land," Cynthia shouted. "Why are you keeping it when Dad is about to die?" Agatha replied coldly, "Let him die first, then we'll sell it." Chief Williams heard everything. His heart beat faster, not from sickness, but from the deep pain of knowing that his wife and daughter didn't show him love and care, but were just waiting for his death. That night, Rose came into the room with a tray of warm pap. "Daddy, please eat something," she whispered. Chief Williams looked at her with tired eyes and said softly, "Thank you, Rose. You are the only one who stayed." She sat beside him and cried silently. "If anything happens to you, Daddy, I won't forgive myself." He touched her hand weakly. The next day, Frank held another meeting at the company. "I have a new idea," he said. "We'll start a luxury fashion line. Clothes, bags, perfumes. I want it big." One worker raised a hand. "But, sir, we don't have that kind of money right now." Frank laughed. "Then borrow. Do it. It's still my father's company." When David heard about the risky project, he was furious. He left the office immediately and rushed home. He entered his father's room and saw Rose holding their father's hand. "Rose, give us a minute," he said. "No," she replied. "Whatever you want to say it here." David looked at their father, lying weak and quiet. "Dad, Frank is ruining everything." Chief Williams opened his tired eyes, looked at David, then turned his face away without a word because he was still pretending, still watching, still keeping his secret. Days passed. Old man Williams kept pretending to be weak and very sick, still lying on the same bed in his quiet room. Rose stayed with him, always feeding him, cleaning his body, and telling him stories. But outside that room, things were getting worse. One morning, David sat on the balcony, looking very angry. He had just returned from the company and was thinking deeply. "Frank thinks he can take over everything and waste all our father worked for. I won't fold my hands anymore." The next day, David dressed up and went to one of their father's biggest luxury hotels in the city, Sunray Grand Hotel. The manager, Mr. Felix, was surprised to see him. "Good afternoon, sir," the manager said, standing up from his desk. "I came to tell you that this hotel is for sale," David said bluntly. "What?" Mr. Felix gasped. "With due respect, this is one of the best hotels your father built. He was so proud of this place. Please don't sell it. This hotel means so much to him." David's face changed. "Are you questioning me and my father's property? You must be joking. If you try to stop me again, I'll sack you myself." Mr. Felix bowed his head. "I'm sorry, sir." But he was not at peace. As soon as David left, he picked up his phone and called the family lawyer. "Mr. John, David wants to sell the hotel," he said quietly. "It doesn't feel right. Chief is still alive." "Don't worry," Mr. John replied. "I'll handle it." The next day, Mr. John sent trusted people to quietly buy the hotel. They acted like strangers. When David sold it to them, they kept the documents safe and handed everything to Mr. John. The lawyer hid the hotel papers in his private safe to keep them for Chief Williams because he knew the old man was only pretending. But David didn't stop there. He also sold one of the large plots of land their father had left untouched for years. The same thing happened. Mr. John arranged trusted people who bought the land. They gave all the documents to him, and he locked them in his safe. David was happy, thinking he had made money, but unknown to him, his father still owned both the hotel and the land. 3 days later, news reached Cynthia. She stormed into the living room where David was sitting, watching TV. She screamed, "David, you sold Daddy's hotel and the land. Are you mad, David?" David turned, surprised. "Cynthia, don't shout at me. I'm not a child." "You idiot," she shouted and slapped him hard across the face. "That land was meant for me. Don't you ever sell anything again." David slapped her back, and they both started dragging each other's clothes. Chairs fell, flower vases broke, and one of the maids ran to call Rose. "Miss Rose, please come fast. Your brother and sister are fighting." Rose ran in and saw Cynthia and David shouting and struggling. "What is wrong with you two?" she cried. "Why are you dragging our father's property when he is still very much alive?" David shouted back, "Is he really alive? Look at him lying down like a corpse every day." Rose's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy worked so hard to give us a good life. Is this how you're repaying him? Fighting and selling everything? Please stop." Cynthia hissed and walked out. David stormed out too. 2 days later, Agatha, the mother, entered Chief Williams' room. Her face was full of disgust. "This room stinks like death," she said sharply. "I can't breathe in here. Why does it smell like someone already died?" Wills coughed quietly and turned his face away. Agatha shook her head. "You are only sick, not dead yet. Clean yourself up and open the windows. Do you think all of us will die here because you're sick?" She clapped her hands twice and shouted, "Driver, security." Rose rushed in. "Mommy, what's going on?" Agatha turned to her. "I can't stand this room anymore. Your father will sleep in the guest room from now on. Even a hospital doesn't smell this bad." "But this is my father's room," Rose cried. "You can't do this." "Shut up," Agatha snapped. "I'm still his wife. I decide what happens in this house." The driver and security guards came in. "Carry him," Agatha ordered. "Take him to the guest room now." "No, don't touch my father," Rose shouted, standing in front of the bed. But the guards moved forward slowly, looking confused. Williams remained quiet, still pretending to be too weak to move. As they lifted him up gently, he looked around the room with sad eyes. His heart was heavy, not because he was truly sick, but because of the pain his family was bringing to his soul. Weeks passed, and the once booming company of Chief Williams began to suffer. Frank's bad spending and careless decisions were showing. The accounts were dry, profits were dropping, and loyal clients were leaving. Staff were murmuring, bills were piling up, and suppliers refused to deliver goods until they were paid. The new fashion brand Frank launched with a huge billboard was a total failure. The clothes were too expensive, the styles were poor, and no one was buying. They needed money fast. Frank sat in his office, stressed and sweating. "Where can I get money now? If this company goes down, I'm finished." Then a wicked idea entered his mind. "I'll sell the Sunray Grand Hotel." That hotel was the most popular and expensive in the city. Their father built it with pride and always called it, "My Golden House." That evening, Frank called for a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the sitting room. Chief Williams lay quietly in the guest room upstairs, coughing as usual. Frank stood in front of the family with a fake serious face. "The company is facing serious problems," he began. "If we don't act fast, we'll lose everything. So, I've decided we must sell the Sunray Grand Hotel and put the money into the company." But before he could finish, Cynthia jumped up and shouted, "Which Sunray Grand Hotel?" "The one David already sold." The whole room went silent. Frank turned sharply. "What did you say?" Cynthia folded her arms. "You heard me. Ask your younger brother." David stood up slowly. Agatha's eyes widened. "David, is it true you sold the Sunray Grand Hotel? Without telling me, your mother?" David looked angry. "Mommy, don't shout at me. Did you ask Frank about all the money he wasted in the company? All the parties and the fashion nonsense he started?" Frank jumped up and grabbed David's shirt. "You thief! You sold Daddy's hotel and kept the money." David pushed him back. "Don't touch me. I won't fold my arms and watch you waste all our father's sweat chasing women and throwing money around like water." They both began to fight. Chairs fell, glasses broke. Agatha screamed, and the maids ran out of the house. Cynthia was shouting, "You both are mad. You want to kill each other." Rose ran in, crying, "Why is there no peace in this house? Why? Our father is sick upstairs, and you're all fighting like animals. She looked at everyone with tears in her eyes. Why are we treating Daddy like he's already dead? Why are we so heartless? His money has blinded all of you. The whole room went quiet, but no one said a word. Later that night, Mr. John, the lawyer, quietly entered Chief Williams' room. Rose had just finished cleaning him and stepped out to get hot water. Mr. John sat close to the old man and whispered, "Sir, I need to tell you something." Williams opened his tired eyes slowly. He gave a tiny nod. "It's about David," Mr. John said. "He sold the Sunray Grand Hotel and one large land, but I stopped strangers from buying it. I used my people to get the papers and kept everything safe." Williams blinked slowly, his heart heavy but grateful. "Thank you," he whispered. Mr. John added, "The children are tearing each other apart, sir. It's getting worse. But don't worry, I won't let them destroy everything you worked for." Chief Williams closed his eyes as another weak cough escaped his lips. His mind wandered. Is this what I raised my family for? To fight over things while I'm still breathing? Frank wasn't done yet. He stood in the middle of the living room, holding David's shirt tightly. His face was red with anger. "Bring the hotel money, David. We need it for the company." David pulled away. "For what? So you can use it to throw another useless party or fly some girl to Paris again? I'm not giving you a dime." Frank rushed at him again, but Rose jumped in between them. "Stop it, both of you," she shouted. "What is wrong with you? Daddy is upstairs, sick and weak, and you're here dragging money like animals." David shook his head, grabbed his car keys, and stormed out of the house. Frank turned to their mother, Agatha, his hands shaking. "Mommy, you heard him. He sold Daddy's hotel and kept the money. What do we do now?" Agatha calmly waved her hand. "Leave him. He's stubborn. If he doesn't want to bring the money, then sell another house or car." Frank turned sharply. "Whose car should I sell? It won't be mine, that's for sure." Agatha didn't blink. "Sell your father's white SUV. Just then, Rose, who had gone to get water for their father, walked in and froze. "Mama, what did you just say?" Agatha turned. "You heard me. Let him sell that car. We need money, Mama." Rose said, tears rising in her eyes. "That's Daddy's favorite car, and you want him to sell it while he's still alive?" Agatha hissed and stood up. "Don't you understand? We need funds to support the company before everything crashes." Rose shook her head. "Then tell Frank to bring back the old workers he sacked. Those people know the roots of the company. They can help rebuild it." Frank scoffed. "Never. They were rude and useless. They were loyal." Rose shouted. "Loyal to Daddy. And if he trusted them, we should too." 2 days later, the mansion gates opened slowly as 3 big cars drove in. It was Chief Williams' extended family, his younger brother, 2 cousins, and an elder from the village. They all stepped out, carrying fruits and drinks. "We heard Chief is not feeling well," the younger brother said. "We came to see him. It's been too long." Before they could take 5 steps, Agatha came rushing out of the house, her wrapper flying behind her. "What are you people doing here? Who invited you?" The elder man stepped forward calmly. "Madam, we only came to see our brother and pray with him." "Pray? Pray for who?" Agatha shouted. "When he was healthy and rich, you didn't come. Now he's sick, you're all here like vultures." The cousins looked down, ashamed. "We didn't mean any harm." Agatha clapped her hands loudly. "Go back to your village. There's no space here. We don't need fake family love. Leave this house now before I call security." "But please, can't we at least greet him?" "I said, leave this place now." Agatha shouted. One of the guards standing near the gate quickly came forward and opened the gate wider. Without another word, the guests quietly returned to their cars and drove away. From a window upstairs, Rose had watched everything. She wiped her eyes in pain. She turned to her father, who lay silently in bed, but his heart was broken. Even though he didn't move, a single tear rolled down his cheek. That evening, the house was still tense after the drama with the extended family. But things were about to get worse. David stormed into the sitting room, breathing heavily. He had just returned from work, and his face showed fire. "Mama," he called out loudly. "Where's Mama?" Agatha came out from the kitchen, holding a glass of orange juice. "Why are you shouting like that?" David pointed angrily. "Why did you give Frank permission to sell one of Daddy's houses and his car?" Agatha rolled her eyes. "David, must you shout every time you speak? I gave the order because we need money to save the company. Or do you want people to laugh at us?" David moved closer. "Mama, with the way Frank is running things, what makes you think the company won't crash again, even if we sell 10 houses?" Agatha frowned. "Don't talk like that. He's your elder brother. Show him some respect." David raised his voice. "Respect? He's not acting like a senior brother. Mama, the problem started when he sacked people who had worked with Daddy for years. The company was doing great. Then he began to sack the old workers and replace them with his useless friends who know nothing about how a company grows. He started acting like the new owner of the company, lavishing money, buying things we don't need, and parading himself as if Daddy is already dead. Now you gave him the order to sell Dad's SUV and house." Agatha shouted back, "But you were told to bring the money from the hotel you sold, and you refused." David threw his hands in the air. "Mama, please don't start. If you keep allowing Frank, he'll sell all of Daddy's properties one by one, and the company still won't grow." There was silence for a moment. Then David added, "You know what? I think it's time. Call Mr. John, the lawyer. Let him come and read Daddy's will. Let everyone get what belongs to them. That way, no one will touch what doesn't belong to them." Agatha was quiet for a while, then she nodded slowly. "Fine, I'll call him first thing tomorrow." The next day, by 10 a.m., the living room was full. Cynthia sat on one side, scrolling through her phone. Frank crossed his legs, smirking. David folded his arms, waiting. Rose sat in a corner, worried and quiet. Their mother, Agatha, sat in the middle like a queen. The door opened, and Mr. John, the family lawyer, stepped in with a leather folder. "Good morning."